Listen, be consistent, show up, and not just talk about it, but actually show them that you're listening and you're taking their feedback.
Mic check, 1 2 1 2. What's going on? Welcome into another episode of the KZ Community Beats. Tis I, your host, Ross Martinez. In the hot seat this week, 3 amazing women. Thank you so much for joining in. From Peoria Grown. To my left, we have Abby Green, the board member of Peoria Grown, and many other duties assigned. How's that feel for that?
Feels accurate.
Your boss is right here. Be careful. Right next to her, we have Julie. I know I'm going to butcher this last name. Can you say it for me?
Elia Tumby.
Elia Tumby. Mm-hmm. Did I say it right?
You did.
Can I get a healthy cookie? Yes. That's Julie, founder of Peoria Grown. And then to our right, Candace Martell, community dietitian of Peoria Grown. Welcome in. How's everybody feeling?
Good. Thanks. Feeling great.
Yes.
And do you work there?
Yes.
What you going to do at the end of work?
Well, tonight I'm getting pizza. So
wait, we're talking about healthy eating. Get out of here.
You can eat all foods. All foods work.
Really?
Yeah.
But it's like moderation?
Yes.
That's my problem. Like once I see a bag of chips, I'm like, let's go. No?
It's all about balance.
Yes.
I'm learning that. Like physically and mentally. No, all right, let's get started. We have Julie, the founder of Peoria Grown. So what made you develop this organization?
Well, Peoria Grown came about in 2018. I was involved with a leadership project with a local former senator called Senator Chuck Weaver. And as part of being part of his leadership group, one of the things that each of us has to do was to come up with a capstone project. And at that time in 2018, and I think you had this discussion with Damari Boone, 2 Krogers closed down in our community and immediately turned those neighborhoods into what we call a food desert. So when I came across that terminology, I was like, food desert? We're like, why is there nothing growing there? Really totally ignorant about that word.
Same.
And so with our team, we started digging a little bit and find out that when you're in food desert, what it means is that you don't have easy access to healthy, nutritious food, and there's nothing that's available around the neighborhood. So that was pretty concerning to us. So we decided we wanted to tackle that issue. We wanted to see what's going on and what's being done about this. So we took 2018 and went around the community and spoke to people in the community. We spoke to city leaders. We spoke to nonprofit agencies that were working around this issue. But in that whole discussion, 2 things kept cropping up from especially from the community members. One of the things we noticed was a lot of the families we spoke to were dealing with health issues. And some of these health issues, we found out, could be better managed if they can get access to better quality food, healthy food. Yeah, which when you look around those neighborhoods, they don't really have them and they don't have access. And now with the Kroger, the 2 grocery stores that they could access easily or walk to is gone. So now a lot of these families have to really travel quite a distance to get to a grocery store. And there's really nothing replacing it around those neighborhoods. They do get convenience stores. They do get a lot of gas stations.
But you don't have healthy choices there. For the
you
most
don't
part.
do. And if you do, it's very limited and they're very pricey. So that was a big concern for us, so what's families going to do? And then the other part is, as I spoke to you about accessibility. A lot of the families we work with don't have transportation. So it's a big journey for them to make, to get to the nearest place to buy their food. And for a lot of them, they would have to end up either carpooling with their friends, or if they're mom, they're riding multiple bus just to get to their nearest store. And that is a huge inconvenience.
Because I like to joke all the time, like, oh my God, I got to one-arm all these bags from my car to my apartment, which is like 10 steps away.
Yes.
But if you're going on a train or a bus, having to do Uber, it's a lot more difficult.
And it eats into what little money you have. And a lot of these families in this neighborhood are below the poverty line, and they are very limited in their income. So this has added an additional stress to them. So what we decided to do is, when we looked into that issue, we were predominantly more concerned with the health outcomes that we're seeing. And we were very concerned that because of that health issue, families are not getting the right type of food was concerning to us.
So what type of health issues? You said that a couple times now.
Yeah, so predominantly in that neighborhoods, when we were looking at the data coming out from the health assessment that the local health department do with the hospitals, they do that, I think, every 3 years or every 4 years. Not very sure when. I may have to check that for you.
Yeah.
But one of the three highest health outcomes for those neighborhoods, especially the South End where we're starting out with, was hypertension, high cholesterol, and diabetes.
So like a lot of foods, a lot of sodium.
With that, and also sugar and stuff like that, the highly processed. But these three issues, health issues, could be better managed with access to healthier food if families can get to them. The other big piece was, we also noticed, was affordability. Even if they do get access to them, in order to consume the quantity they need to be able to manage it, it can get pricey.
Oh, yeah, because I came from Chicago. We had a Whole Foods out there. Amazing organic foods, but the pricing's, my God, it'll be like half my check goes to like $3 or 3 days worth of food.
Yeah.
So what are the prices here like in Peoria?
Well, it's not as expensive because we don't have whole fresh, and we are not advocating just having to eat organic. Our whole thing is that we just want family to eat fresh food. Just fresh veggies, fresh fruit. Doesn't have to be processed items, which is majority of the time that's easy and slightly cheaper and easier to get access to. But fresh items are really hard in those neighborhoods. And if they do get in, like I said, if they get in the convenience stores, which is easy for them to get to because there seems to be a convenience store every block from where they live, if you go down to the South End, but they're usually very expensive. You would get maybe, like, for example, something you would pay, like someone was just mentioning to me that a couple of apples was $3. Whereas you can get the Cheetos for $2.
Well, yeah. It used to be 99 cents
or something.
Like
yeah, but
85% air in it now.
Yeah, that's true too. But anything that's fresh is usually 2 or 3 times more expensive if they have to buy it from those convenience store rather than if they have a car and they can get up to maybe like an Aldi or somewhere where they can at least get produce at a slightly cheaper price. But again, transportation is the big key there. They don't have the access to get to that place as easily as they usually,
Do we know why those food prices are so high for better food for you?
Like at convenience stores?
Yeah, like why are the price differences so different? Like why is it so more expensive for healthier foods?
So it could be a couple reasons. You're not buying as much quantity. So like, for example, if you're buying bananas to put in your convenience store, you can't buy as many of those because they don't stay fresh for long. So you're not being able to get like bulk pricing that you would get as compared to buying more shelf-stable items. There's also just the need to kind of, mark things up to be able to sell those items at a higher price, and just kind of, you might have different deals with different vendors for products that you sell, and you don't get any kickback for selling, bananas or things like that.
I never knew that.
Yeah, but I think the other big piece is for business thing is they've realized that their shelf space is money. All the things they want things that can turn quickly. And they've seen that, bringing fresh food, unless you have a huge demand, it's not going to be sold as quickly as potato chips.
So you're basically paying for the expiration of it.
Yes. Then. So, and then because they feel that there's no demand, they charge a little bit more premium for it to be there. And because, like you said, also the shelf life for fresh items is not very long compared to some of the other items.
So then, because if it doesn't get sold, then ultimately it just gets thrown away. So that would just be the business owner
losing the money. So they feel it's better to have their space occupied with more highly processed items or more chips and sodas and things that move quickly.
I mean, from a business standpoint,
yes,
it makes sense.
We see that. But that, at the end of the day, does make it a disservice for the community because, then you are also changing how people eat in that neighborhood. Because if that's all the choices that's available, you are also changing how the kids eat, because if they walk in a store and that's all they see, that's what they're going to pick up and that's what they're going to eat, Yeah. And so so that's part of the reason why we start Pure Grown, because we were concerned when we go out there and we're like, there's no option for these families. Why? If you go to other neighborhoods, like where I live, there's so many places for me to go and get something healthy and affordable to me. So the other big piece we will talk about is the affordability. So there's two key barriers in these neighborhoods: access and affordability. And affordability means very different things for me and for a lot of our families. Affordable for me could be $10, $15. It's still affordable.
It varies between families' income.
Every families, yes. And especially when you go into depressed neighborhoods like the one that we worked with, that's a big barrier. We have to understand, our families, have very limited income. And some of them are seasonal workers too. So there's a lot of barriers on how they make their earnings. So that plays a role in what they can afford, what they can eat. But we want to be able to make sure that they should be able to afford it, even though they don't make as much as you and I do. They should be able to have that choice to be able to get the good, healthy food that I get access to.
Of course.
But we have never looked at it that way. We have always assumed that, they are making bad choices. They don't want to eat healthy.
But the why behind it is equally as important.
The why behind it is access and affordability. That's the biggest barriers. When people think about why family don't want to eat, and is this two big barriers?
It's kind of like conditioning, too, in a way, like economical conditioning. I remember the conversation I had with DeMario. He said, this isn't a direct quote because I can't remember off the top of my head, but he feels like communities kind of get conditioned to eat a certain way because you don't have ABC access to it or the ability of knowledge of understanding what the right type of fuel your body gets to.
Absolutely. We've changed how we fed our families. If you look at our emergency food system, so I'm jumping to a little bit to how, we feed people who goes to food banks or food pantries. When you look at what we push out from those, from the food banks and food pantries, the majority of the items, are shelf-stable items. But they're non-perishable, but they're also highly processed and high sugar content. And so when you continue to feed that way, and we have been feeding that way for a long time, you do change. Like you see, you recondition our families on their behavior towards food. And so it's no surprising that now generation after generation who have been relying on those kind of food and those food coming into the house, that their eating behaviors have changed. Kids seeing those coming in, day out, sugar cereal, soda, big bites of marshmallows.
So that leads me to a question. When you first began as an organization, did you find it challenging to break that mold of conditioning? Or as someone, I know I can get in a mode like, oh, I want my Frosted Flakes in the morning. How hard is it to get somebody to accept? I mean, we have Candace here, community dietitian in Peoria Grown also. How hard is it, or how difficult? Yeah, how difficult is it to help somebody transition from that unhealthy eating diet to something a little bit more sustainable?
Abby,
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, during my time with the classes thus far, this year I've really seen a lot of, I always try to ask the kids, like, what would you like to see? And a lot of the times I'll get, like, these high-sugared processed foods because...
Cocoa Puffs.
Yes, and so I try to utilize that information from the kids and what they're saying because a lot of the times what the children are saying are what their parents can provide, too. So I'm very aware of that piece as a family unit, but also just kind of taking that and what can I do to make small, subtle alternatives to those foods that might be more processed. That way it's not like such a shock when, I'm coming in with the cooking class and it's like, I've never even been exposed to this before, and now you're exposing, this really expensive food that I may not be able to purchase after this cooking class today. And so I really try to consider all of those angles when I prepare for a recipe and prepare for the class. So essentially, for example, we use quinoa a lot because that's a very staple food for, a dietitian. I think that it's a very this is very healthy, let's push these superfoods. But then it's how can we make that something that families are aware of and know? So instead of quinoa, we can still use rice, which is a very more common accessed food, and also more known food. So just these very subtle changes.
Yeah, and I think it's about small changes. It's never our intention to come in, overhaul someone's diet and say, you're not going to eat anything processed again, because the matter is, like, we all eat processed foods. If you eat green beans out of a can, that's processed. If you eat, a chicken breast that has been frozen, that's been processed. If you eat chips, there's no expectation. No one is going to live in a world where you're eating salads and berries and nuts 100% of the time. And if you are, cool, but that is never the expectation. So I think when Peoria Grown came into the South Side and started having this market, families were just so appreciative to have access to food that was actually affordable to them, and they could leave with fresh strawberries and milk and eggs and salad greens and things that they just never had access to in their community before. And then they would come back with stories of how they had used different ingredients in recipes that they were preparing for Easter, for example. They would use...
Also helping traditions kind of take a new turn, a new twist.
I can remember one woman who came in after Easter and was like, look at all of these recipes that I made using all produce from Peoria Grown. And it was different things like asparagus. She made a fruit pizza with fresh fruit. So it's just really cool to see how people take the produce that we are selling and they prepare it in a way that is desirable for their families and are incorporating it into the things that they're already doing.
Now, how does that feel as individuals? Not just as an organization, but as individuals that I can tell you all have a big passion for this. Especially Julie, I could tell you. The few conversations we had, I swear, you're like, let me tell you about X, Y, Z, and this. And I love that because I think being able to be on the outside of what you do and to see you smile and the eyes come up on you and you're like, ooh, wait, they kind of changed something and they were proud about that. So as an individual, how does that feel for each of you to be able to see the impact of what you are trying to implement actually start growing, pun intended?
I'll kind of kick off here by saying I think when we actually, it is really exciting for me to see people come in and share how, this market really is actually changing their lives. But when you have people come in and say, like, they actually are seeing medical markers of, they've gone to their doctor, they've gotten labs redrawn, and like their A1C is down. So,
marker that's
diabetes. That's
diabetes.
For diabetes, and they're seeing that trend downward since starting to shop at Market 309. That is when I get amped up because I'm like, this is actually changing people's health outcomes. And so there's an element that it is great to be involved in the community and providing people with resources that they would not have otherwise. But when you actually see this is significantly changing someone's livelihood, for me, that really is marketing.
Abby, has that always been a passion for you? Or that's something you kind of like lucked into in life?
My background actually is in marketing. My bachelor's degree is in marketing, and I worked professionally in marketing for 8-10 years. And actually this past year, I quit that full-time profession, have been getting my master's in nutrition and dietetics. So within the past 5-ish years, this really has become a passion for me, just based on personally how food has changed my life. I wanted to see what I could do to see how it could impact others. And I got linked up with Julie. My fiance works with her. And he was like, hey, this lady that I work with, she's doing something with food and you like food, so maybe you guys should talk. And we talked, and now here we are.
Congratulations on getting married.
Oh,
that's
thank
amazing.
You. Thank you.
Julie, what about, Julie, I got confused.
Yeah.
How about you? How's it feel to see this taking on a new level? Seeing someone as an Abby being able to transition out of a full-time profession into now being full-time with you guys?
This journey has been just amazing. I mean, to be honest, Ross, when I started, I had no clue where we were going. I just saw the need. I just saw that there has to be something we could do better for our community. And we, like Abby said, we're not here to try to tell people what to eat, how to eat. They already know. They want to eat the healthy way. They want the access. What we were trying to do is, like you said, just meet them where they are. They have already told us this is what we want. So we took that information and went back as a team and said, how can we help? And that's how all our programming came about, was just listening to our families and community members and just figuring out how to create resources and services to meet them where they are. For me personally, in the last 4 years, just going to the market and even doing any of our cooking class, hearing how grateful, thankful, and just absolutely thrilled that the family has embraced us, and so thankful that they were so thankful that we heard them. That's what I always hear. You heard us, and you heard what we were asking, and you took our feedback, and you went and did something with it. And so we hear that all the time at the market. I have ladies coming up and said, we're so grateful for you to do this. You're meeting us at a need that we were asking for many years, but nobody was going about figuring out how to make it happen. And so for us as a team, that is the greatest compliment that we could ever get, and that's the biggest pat in the back I think I can ever get from anybody. So it just fuels me, and that's why you say I'm excited, because every week when I get those kind of feedback, it fuels me to say we're on the right path and we need to continue to do more.
Abby, from a marketing standpoint, what do you feel is the reason the connection has been able to grow so strong so quickly within the community?
It really is. It's no marketing efforts. And
Really?
I will say we are try to be as active as we can on social media, but it is showing up consistently. Physically being there, and I will say Julie's personality and nature is part of the contributing factor to the success, because, and she doesn't need to say, she might not say this about herself, but I will, just her ability to connect with people and want to talk to people and genuinely want to know what is most going to help people and not assume what it is. I think just genuinely listening and connecting, because then that's the kind of thing, if you come to the market and you have a really positive experience, then you tell your friend, you tell your neighbor, and it's a ripple effect, and we can see how that trends throughout communities. So why some people do come in and say, oh yeah, I saw you on Facebook, there is some of that, but it's also people telling their friends who then come, and it's really that genuine connection that I think has helped us grow. And not only does that work for the families we serve who actually come shop at the market, but also volunteers or donors or different people who get involved.
So how big is the organization?
Like in size of staff?
Yeah.
Team? 4.
Right here? So you 3 and one more?
Yeah.
So do you, volunteer work is big, right? How can anybody that would like to get involved with you get a hold of you?
So there's a couple of ways. So we are very responsive on Instagram and Facebook, so that is a great way to, stay updated on different events that we have. We also have our website, PEORIAgrown.com, where you can sign up for our email list for different volunteer opportunities. Our most regular opportunities are on Sundays and Thursdays, which is when we actually have our markets, but we're going to have some different opportunities coming up this summer. We're having different events at the Riverfront Museum.
Oh, really?
So that'll be a great way for families to get plugged in, either to come participate in the program, or if they want to kind of volunteer and get involved in that way if more of our regular events don't work for their schedules.
Can we speak on the events you come, or are they like...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
This is not like down low.
No. So I can kind of kick it off, and then Candace has really been working on this, so she can kind of share in the details. But
I love how communal this is right now.
Yes, it is very, very communal. We're all very involved, so we talk all the time.
I could tell before I was doing all the audio checks, you girls were just in conversation.
Yeah.
Like, look at that.
No,
they
we've
like
gotten
each
to
other.
know each other very well.
We have, yes, we have.
But we're lucky to partner with the Peoria Riverfront Museum, so we'll be doing 4 different events throughout the summer, targeting some health and nutrition and wellness education programs, targeting different groups. So there's one for young kids, like grade school kids, one for high school and college students.
So get them young.
And then seniors. So really trying to target all different age groups and providing age-appropriate activities to, make them aware and teach them about, healthy foods and also different kinds of foods that they might not be exposed to, the benefits of physical activity, and kind of getting moving and grooving during the
Can I sign up?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the last event's going to be open, to anyone, not specific to any age group.
Is it like jazzercise? Because I'm down.
We might have Zumba.
Yes.
I may have to go for a few walks before I do some Zumba. So, Candace, what is your involvement with all this?
Oh, sure. So when I kind of started a few months ago, we kind of had this idea to collaborate with the museum. So we've been working on it for some time now. But really just it's a heart health exhibition. So we're focusing on different heart health activities that we can have, like one food demo, like a physical activity, and then kind of get their heart racing a little bit, and then just kind of having that for each target audience. So for our first one on May 27th, from 1 to 3 p.m., we'll have like kids do like a smoothie bar, and then we have these veggie passports that we've created to kind of expose, as Abby said, to cultural fruits and vegetables. So things that you may not, things that I haven't even quite heard
like
of.
what?
So like jicama sticks,
Starfruit.
Love starfruit.
Guava.
Kumquat.
Yeah, grill some kumquats up.
Yep.
Yes. So things like that, and it kind of takes the child through like a traveling expedition
Like they're
experience.
traveling
So cultural enrichment while also benefiting
Yeah.
health conscious.
Yes, and it's
foods.
very family orientated, so parents can try that with their child and kind of get an ideas of something that I want to bring into the home. And so that was kind of what we were basing our programming off of, is really focusing on that cultural relevance piece, and just kind of adapting, kind of exposing to new foods. And then with our teenage group, we have like a factor myth, kind of that's more of your social media age. So we're trying to kind of break down some of those barriers that you might find on the internet, like, oh, this is healthy, or
Is this
this true? So we're kind of going to do
Is it
Like
good to-
debunking TikTok
Trends.
trends that you
Yeah.
see. Like,
Yes, the
Yes.
Mythbuster. Like, is keto really for everybody? Do you want to go on a keto diet? Is this, all these other stuff?
No, I heard keto is
Keto.
is
Yeah, put keto.
we're not. I don't
Keto.
think the keto diet is a topic we should.
I got you there.
Yeah.
Because
We
I
could
had
be
a few
here a
folks
while.
like,
Yeah.
I've heard this or
Or
that.
the vegan.
But-
Yeah.
and
Hey,
then
you could come to the Factor Myth program.
Yes.
Just come on in.
See, that's the marketing. I see you. That's
Yeah, I
the
see you.
marketing
That's-
behind you. That was clever. I like it.
Yeah.
So, what got you involved with being a dietitian or studying this or making this a career path for yourself?
well, growing up, I also was kind of in like more of a, I know there's a different term for it now, food desert. That's I'm not sure what it's called.
Food apate.
Food apate. So
Oh, yeah. I never heard that term
yeah.
before,
you know,
DeMario.
my family kind of grew up in that area, and I was just very intrigued to know like how we could get more access to food. And so over time, I just kind of started at a community college, took my general nutrition classes, and then I started to find that the artsy dynamic of, with the cooking, and I love to cook, so that aspect with like the clinical piece, I just kind of tied all of that together, and just started to pursue my master's and bachelor's with that. And then I found Peoria Grown a few months ago, and I'm really grateful that I did, because food insecurity is something that I'm really passionate about, and just because it is something that I personally experienced in my own family dynamic. So it's a really phenomenal organization to be a part of and to have that personal connection with as well.
So, what is food insecurity? Because for me, I feel like insecurity is like, I don't want to put a bathing suit on. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, the how do I say it? the way to explain it is food is basically people that don't have consistent access to healthy food to lead a healthy lifestyle. That's what food insecurity about. And food apartheid, yeah, that's basically the new word that's coming out instead of food desert, because it's basically trying to say that some of these neighborhoods, it's based on, like what DeMario is saying, the redlining. It's more systematic
Starvation. in a way.
racism that kind of start
Yeah.
making those neighborhoods the way they are, instead of it's more man-made than like a food desert that something just organically happened. So that's
why the name
they've changed. That's why a lot of activists and food justice people are by using that word, because they say when it really comes down to it, when you look at these neighborhoods that are like where there's lack of access, it's more
minority.
It's more in a minority. It's much more lower income neighborhood, and it's not done it's been done intentionally.
Well, I can attest to that.
You know, that's where they're coming from.
Because where I was born in Chicago, the minority neighborhoods were always underfunded,
disinvested.
Yes. So whereas like downtown Chicago, the Loop, you'll have the Whole Foods, but in Pilsen, you're not going to find that. You'll maybe have the corner store that has the beef coming off
the
cow.
kebabs.
Yeah. So I understand that, which is interesting because the apartheid, is it?
Yeah.
It's a very interesting term that I don't really hear that often.
Yes. And we're starting to hear that more being used now when they talk about neighborhoods. Instead of calling them food desert, they're calling them food apartheid neighborhoods. They feel that it's for food justice groups that it's much more a correct way to explain what's happening in these neighborhoods rather than a food desert. So that way, then people who are working in this arena or in this issue can have a better way of addressing the issue and understanding what's actually happening, and that city leaders, when they are looking into how to address those issues, understand what some of the challenges are and maybe possibly come up with better solution for the families in those neighborhoods.
Being more spot on.
Yeah, instead of all over the place and thinking that it's not just because there's a grocery store, but being more intentional, like saying that's more than just a grocery store missing. It's this investment in those neighborhoods, you know, that we might need to reinvest in those neighborhoods and start taking care of them instead of moving businesses out of it. And then being mindful of what type of business comes into those neighborhoods. So that, you see, that's the main...
It's many different
so many layers,
levels.
yes, and those kind of stuff is. I think that's where a lot of these groups are working on. This is trying to make sure that using the right words actually is important, because then it can makes changes to policies, it makes changes to city leaders on how they address the issue. So I love that they're using it, and I finally just learned about it and figure out why they're doing it and getting a better grasp around it. And the more we hear it, the more I feel it's apt, because of what we are seeing ourselves when we go into those neighborhoods, that, you know, with that word, maybe then we can get more people in that looking at this issue, maybe coming up with better solutions for those families. But I also want to go back to about what you were saying earlier about, you know, us trying to change people eating. Abby said it right, you know, Pure Grown don't want to change, and I think that's another piece that we're good about doing, and the way we are addressing this issue is that we're not coming in to try to tell you you can do better or what you're eating is wrong. You know, we are trying to figure out what are some of those barriers for you to get to what you need to get, so you can get the choices you need to. Because most families do want to eat healthy. You know, I truly believe all mothers, if our family who are cooking, would want to bring in the best kind of food for their kids. But it's just that if there's no resources available, what can you do?
So, you know, we can provide education, you know, as the summer months, you know, come about here in Central Illinois. It's easier for us to work with different local farmers or growers who we either buy produce from or they'll donate things for us. So some people aren't familiar with some of the things that we get, you know, like bok choy or really unique looking greens.
Swiss charts.
Yeah, so we can
I have
educate.
no idea what that is.
See?
Neither did I.
Point proven.
So we can provide education to people on, hey, you know, if you purchase this, or, you know, don't even buy it. We'll just give it to you. And here's some recipes that you could try to prepare this at home, just to, you know, expand the level of knowledge people have on how to prepare different foods, find different things that they like. So, you know, as they are, you know, determining like, oh, I want to try new things, they have more things that they can try. It's never us to say, you have to eat this, or, you know, or else. There is nothing. That's just not how it works. So we really want to be there to support people as they are wanting to make more healthful changes. But as Julie says, we find, and, you know, even in my work as a soon-to-be dietitian, maybe Candace can say this too, most people know that you should eat healthy, you should drink water, and you should exercise. Most people aren't like, what? I should eat healthier? That's not usually the revelation that people have. It's either, I don't know how to, I can't eat healthier because it's too expensive, I can't get to healthier food. So it's really finding out what their challenge is. It's not usually people don't know that they should eat healthier.
This leads me to
I go one more thing.
Yeah.
The other big piece is also cultural sensitivity. That's a big piece that we.
Ooh, what do you mean by that?
Okay,
That's
so
intriguing.
that the thing is that a lot of the community we serve are diverse. We have Hispanic group, we have Latin, we have the Black community, we have the white community, we have the Asian community. Every one of us eat very different diets. I came from Asia, so when I immigrated, I'm always using myself as an example. When I came here, the food here was a shock to my system because I was used to eating all these big meals with potatoes and steak and meat. I was more in steam and rice is my diet,
That's
and
the borderline base.
my base
foundation. Yes.
that I grew up with. And so coming in, I have to adjust my food intake. I was like, I don't like this, I like my food, and I think my food is healthy. But everyone's like, American eats all salads. The salad is good for you. I'm like, I don't really think salad is that good for you. I think what I cook is good for you. So the same thing when we go out to our community, even as a community dietitian, Candace is very aware. We try to make sure when we go out there, if we have for example, we're going to a community that's mostly Hispanic, we'll make sure that, hey, you know what do you have at home? You have tortillas, you have tomatoes, you have cilantro. Well, is there something we can make with that may be healthier version of it, especially if you have a health issue? Okay? So if, for example, we work with a community of Hispanic ladies that we have adult women class, and if they are predominantly dealing with diabetes or something, then we may take recipes that they love and just give it a healthy twist and say, because of this, you might want to cut down on this and
rather
this.
than canola oil, grapeseed oil.
Yeah, or something like that.
Or little changes.
Yeah, instead of just coming in and say, you know what, we're going to come with a whole new recipe. Here, we're going to give you quinoa. You're going to eat Swiss chard.
Rather than a culture shock,
Yeah.
you learn how to improve the traditions.
Yes, or get the food that they like to eat or ingredients that they already have at home so that they don't have to go and buy a whole host of new things to eat when their food is healthy. Their big part of their food is good for them. There may be certain ingredients that may not be good right now because of what they're dealing with. But we shouldn't just go in and take everything they like to eat and say, nope, now you have to change your diet. You're going to have to eat this way. And that was one of the big aha moments for us because we worked with a couple of African-American dietitians that I met about 4 years ago, and they were going out into community, and they were getting a lot of pushback, and they were trying to bring all this, like the superfood, like the quinoa and the Swiss chards, and then they're wondering why all their patients are not adapting or eating because they were saying, like, we don't like this food.
I'm Mexican. You bring quinoa in my house. I'm like,
what?
Where's the orange rice?
Yeah. Yeah. And so
and the beans.
And the beans and all the stuff. And so they were like, no one was making changes to their diet because they were like, this is too much. And
now, this leads me to a question. I don't know if it's something you guys can answer or not, but I know along my health journey, like I've lost 100 pounds, then gained 60 back, and then lost 40, then gained 60. I've ups and downs. Have you seen that there's also like a psychological aspect to healthy eating? I don't know if you can speak on that at all. I don't know if you guys have
So I think definitely yes, because food is something that can be very complicated for people because it's not just always something that you eat. I think that food has been boiled down to something very simple, calories in, calories out. Well, it's not, because food is also sometimes used for comfort for people. Say you just have a stressful day, loss in the family, you might turn to food in those situations.
Heartbreak, Ben's and Jerry's.
Exactly, or, food is very social. Think of getting together with friends to have dinner or a family holiday or
table of
different
nachos,
things.
ready to go. Yeah.
So it's not just so much where, like, food is only there to sustain you. That is a very large function of food. Food is necessary for all of us, but it's so much more complex than that. So like Julie said, I feel like sometimes people can get on, that's kind of called like a yo-yo diet, where, you kind of have those ups and downs. It's trying to help people find, sustainable changes where you might not lose 100 pounds fast as you would as compared to if you go on a more restrictive diet, but how can you find small changes to make that you can build on over time so that you're kind of, if weight loss is your goal, for example, you might see sustainable weight loss, but also build sustainable habits. So not only would you be seeing weight loss, but you might feel have more mental clarity, or you might have more energy, or you might sleep better, so finding different factors, because there is some element of, say again, using your example of weight loss, you lose a bunch of weight, you gain it back. I'm sure that doesn't make you feel great.
Oh, no.
So,
not at all.
It's also that element of, does that motivate someone? Does that discourage someone? So it's a very complex situation. Food can be very complex for a lot of people, and their relationship with food, and how, they were raised with food, and a lot of different things.
This leads me to asking Candace the question, because we've mentioned the cooking classes
Yes.
on and off this entire interview. So take me a little bit more about what happens in these classes, how you instruct them, type of recipes you use. Just give me the whole shebang-a-bang, in other words, about what it is.
Sure. So our cooking classes are mostly focused on kids and teenage groups right now. And we generally hold like a class of 7. That way it's more quality. We can kind of contain the class better with that respect. And then we typically find recipes based on the cultural relevance, of course, as well as what we know that our demographic is. So really knowing your target audience is really important. So really knowing what kinds of foods that they often see in their homes, and then also how can we make those a little bit healthier and still expose them to new things that they may not have seen before, specifically fresh produce. Our main goal is to create access to fresh produce into these homes. And so what we'll do is we'll purchase the ingredients for our class, but we'll also purchase enough for the students to take home the recipe, and also have an opportunity to recreate that on their own as well.
So it's really meeting them where they are.
Yes. And we also have like a nutritional analysis piece too, so we kind of break down like the calories and just kind of show them like this is what is in this, one serving of, this recipe. But recently, we've made a lot of different cultural foods. We've made a lot of African American foods and Hispanic foods, because that's a lot of our target audience. So we've made like huevos rancheros, jollof rice.
You talking about language?
Yes. And
Meet them where they like to eat.
Yes. And then
Because we were talking before, I'm like, oh, well, I like to eat this. You're like, well, all moderation, Ross. All moderation.
Yes.
So is that what it is learning how to cook it a little bit more healthy with moderation with intake?
I would say so. With children, that's not as much of a focus. Like calories and things like that aren't necessarily a big focus, because, you don't want to teach your children at a young age to like be so restrictive. You want them to be very open-minded. And so I think at this age, it's more so just about the exposure to different foods that they will have access to that are healthy and nutritious, and just knowing that that's being brought into the homes, and creating that, eliminating some of the barriers to obtaining that access to that food is really the focus of these classes. So we go in and we arrive, early to kind of prepare. We have like cutting boards. It's a very interactive class. It's not just like, okay, we're teaching and then the kids sit down and listen. They're really involved, hands-on.
It's a full interactive course.
Yes. And we do that with the Dream Center here, the Arting Center, Salvation Army, a lot of the after-school programs here like Glen Oak, Lincoln. So we've definitely been exposed to many different places since I first started. So I'm very, very grateful to be in this position, and yes, it's a blessing.
It's amazing. Yeah. I think that brings me back kind of full circle to what we initially started talking about, where I saw the pictures of the market, whereas you're trying to meet them where they are. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit more, Julie, if you can, about the actual market, that event, what you do.
So Market 309 is the name of our market, and it started 3 years ago, and the first market was in January of 2021 in the South End. And the idea came about was during the height of COVID in 2020. We were very concerned because when COVID hit, we were like, oh my gosh, I was like, immune system. The whole thing is like, how is our family's immune? Is this going to hit their immune system? If they're not healthy, are they going to get more sick from it? So,
it was like in not retort, but in
response to it. Yeah. So it's really we were very quick to change. So when we heard COVID hit, the very next week, we had to shut down all our cooking classes because by then they were like, nobody can be in Reynolds. Everybody was face out. We're not sure what we're dealing with. Yeah. But we were very concerned. We were like, okay, now they were saying all the kids are going to be at home. They're not going to school. And we were very concerned about these kids because we were used to seeing them in our cooking class and getting food. So we're like, well, if they're going to be stuck at home, they're going to need more food. And so within a week of COVID hitting, we actually started bagging our fruit bags. So what we did is we took a Ziploc gallon bag. We filled it out with as much fruit as possible. So maybe like 2 bananas, 3 oranges, 2 apples, whatever we can fit into a Ziploc gallon. And then we started going to schools that were becoming the drop-off for lunch for schools. For kids, they were able to come and get free lunches during COVID. Yeah. There were different schools that was designated as food hubs. So we would go to one of these schools, and I think it was Glen Oak that we started with, and was said, here's 100 bag of fruits. So every kid that came up to take their lunch, can you give them a bag of fruits? And we did that. We thought, okay, something to give the kids health, something healthy to eat, something to keep them, good snack. We didn't realize with one school, the word started spreading, and the next thing we know, we got calls and said, hey, could we get another 200 bags? And then one school after another started calling us. So we started bagging 100 bag. Within less than a month, we were bagging 3 times a week. And then the height of COVID, we ended up from giving out over 8,000 bags of, we were in a little kitchen at Hy-Vee, and then we ended up going to a church. Yep. To bag because we ran out of space because we were asking more volunteers because the kids were so excited with that fruit bag. They loved it. And so we started doing that during COVID. And then another thing we started during COVID was a pop-up produce. So what happened would be is I would fill up my car trunk with fresh veggies, another volunteer car trunk with fresh fruit, and every Thursday night after work, we would drive to different neighborhoods that are considered food desert. So we would drive to like Taft Homes, the Peoria Housing Authority, or Harrison Homes, and we'd drive right into the parking lot, pop our trunk, and tell the families, hey, come and get whatever you want from our car trunk. It's for free. And it was during those pop-up that I sat with a lot of the families. As Abby said, I cannot stop talking.
That's a good thing.
I started sitting down and talking to all the moms and dad that would come in. And one of the things we kept hearing was a lot of the families were saying, we would love to be able to afford to buy these food ourselves. We would love to be able to get access to this easy because, but as you can see, our neighborhood, there's nothing like that. So that stayed with me throughout the whole fall of 2020. When I then, in November 2020, I went back to our board and said, hey, how crazy would it be if we start a farmer's market? And I said, families are asking. They want to buy. And I said, how would it be possible? And our team was like, sure, we can do some small version of it if we can find a place that family can get to us. And so we started talking around with different agency and community members, and someone linked us up to the Peoria Park District. And the Park District's like, we have community centers in the South End. And some of these community centers sits empty on the weekend. We're like, maybe that could be a good location. So the other step we did was we went back to the community and said, okay, if we have a market like that, 2 questions. What time of the day that you would like us to have the market? Because we want to meet them where it is. What's convenient for them, not what's convenient for our team. And second is, what's the price point? What is it are you willing to pay for a head of cabbage, for a bag of lettuce, for a box of blueberries, strawberries, and what other things would you like us to bring into the market? So we did a survey, we got the results, and the survey came out, majority of people wanted to be able to shop on Sunday morning. They gave us a quick list of what are the produce that they liked. And so in January of 2021, we officially launched Market 309. We started with 5 produce, 5 fruit, and we sold out. And it was just word of mouth. It was going door to door, dropping flyers in the neighborhood, but we sold out. So the following week, we put another notice again and said, what else would you like us to bring? And 3 years later, we're carrying, 70 different type of produce, 3 locations. And
it's really neat, the relationships that we have built with customers, because they'll be like, hey, we want to try grapefruit, and so we'll just order some grapefruit, and then people will buy it, or like, oh, can we get some pomegranate? So then we'll bring it in. So it's like how the market started off with kind of seeing what we got the feedback of what people wanted to buy, and now they're like, hey, can we get parsley? You know, and so we just bring it in. So we can be very nimble in how we order, and really take that customer feedback really seriously and implement it on a weekly basis.
It's pretty much the purest form of on-street marketing. When you think about it. Because you're there with the customers.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorite examples is after COVID, supply chain issues have been a bit of a disaster. And there was one week, the market is on Sunday mornings.
Yes.
And we order the bulk of our produce from Hy-Vee, and they had a logistics issue where their truck wasn't going to get here in time to get us the delivery that we needed. So the board all divided up, and we went to Aldi, Kroger,
and
Hy-Vee, and individually shopped, and then took all of that produce from different grocery stores to the south end, which I think just really paints the picture of the disparity that we see on that end of town, where it was just a group of people physically taking food from one end of town to the other. But it was just so funny because it was Sunday morning and phones were lighting up let's go, and we all just band together to make it happen, because part of it is building trust with those customers, saying we're going to be here every week.
Yeah.
We said we're going to be here, and we're going to be here. And so we showed up with the food purchased from other grocery stores for people to buy.
And we've built that trust with the community where they feel that they have a stake in this market. They feel they own the market, in which they are. They are the owners of the market, and they know that their feedback is taken seriously, and whatever they tell us, we will try our darndest to make it happen. And if we can't, we are very transparent and explain why we can't do certain things. But they know that their information, the feedback they give us is crucial. That's how the market is, how even to how we lay out, to the way
how people are the order of purchase. There's been times, because we have gotten better at our inventory management now, but before things would sell out fast, so there'd kind of be a rush. So people said should we take a number? So we tried to take a number system. They didn't taking numbers, so then we've tried a bunch of different things, and we've now found a system that works really well, that is very fair for all of the customers that we do serve, with seniors and individuals with disabilities, and pregnant women get to start shopping a little bit earlier so they can move more easily, and then the market opens up to everyone. But we didn't decide that. That was based on feedback
they decided
from the shoppers.
It's a little bittersweet. The sweet aspect is what you do. This is amazing. Because it ties back to saying my grandmother used to raise me on, si no tienes ganas, no vas a ganar. If you don't have the will, you won't succeed. And this shows community members that give a damn about the community, few and far between in this board, can get up early, go do this. Why can't people that are in charge to do this can't? And you don't have to say anything about that. I can stand on that on my own.
You can
I'll stand on that ledge on my own, because as a voice of this community, I find that it's my job to find these stories, to help the dialogue push forward to maybe our elected officials. Yo, if they can do this, what's up?
Yeah.
District 150's been redlined for how long now?
Years now, decades now.
I think it goes back to what Julie says. It is what is best for, not just a customer, but the communities we serve. It's really what's best for them. It's not what's best for Abby or Julie or Candace or anyone else on the board or our volunteers. We're here to serve with and alongside different members of our community. It's not what's best for my schedule, because I have it easy. I live in central Peoria. Within 3 minutes, I can drive to 5 different grocery stores from my house. There's a bunch of different restaurants with very healthy options. So convenience is not a problem for me. I have my own car. I have a job. All of those things. So it's really working for the people and advocating for the people in our community who don't have access to the things that so many people do that they take for granted.
And I think the biggest thing I've learned in this whole journey with our community is that people always assume that when you come from those neighborhoods, you don't know what you want. We know better. Yeah. You don't really know
They know exactly what they want. All we have to do is listen. That's the key.
Yeah.
Listen. They are smart. They had to navigate this whole lifestyle that they have. I was just talking to someone recently. I said, if someone put me in that same shoe as some of our families, I don't think I last because I don't know how to survive. I don't know how to navigate. But they had to. With all these things not available to them, somehow they have thrived through it and they made it. And yet, we feel that they have their insights, their opinion. It doesn't make sense that what they tell us is not correct, or they don't know what they need when they actually know exactly what they need. They know.
All we got to do is listen.
Yeah, we have to listen.
Listen and be consistent.
Listen, be consistent, show up, and not just talk about it, but actually show them that you're listening and you're taking their feedback. And I think that's the key thing they've seen in Peoria Grown is that they've seen every board members that come in and any feedback they've given us, that we actually took it and then we actually did something with it. And they actually see it being implemented. And even if they're not implemented, they actually can get feedback from us and know why we didn't do it. So they know they're part of the decision making. A good example is the one that Abby just put out a post. We had to increase some of our prices because we've been telling our family it's been a big challenge. Food costs have gone higher. So you can imagine how much our families are struggling.
Yeah.
Prior when we started this, they were already struggling. Now with food costs the way it is, it's dire now for them.
They've taken a big hike
They have taken a big hit. And so they were the one that came up to me and said, Julie, you need to increase your prices. They came to me.
Your consumers said,
yes.
Hey, we're kind of taking you for a quick rickroll.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, okay. And not only once, multiple times, multiple people. And I was like, you know what? You're right. We have to, and I was very nice. And I said, we were trying really hard not to increase because we know what a challenge it's been for them this last couple of months. And so we're really trying to keep it at that price so that we can continue to give them what they need. But when they keep coming to us, and we had to take a hard look at we are going to have a lot of issue if we don't start bridging that gap and loss that we're getting because how much food has cost for us. So we just made an announcement that we're going up, and our families have no problem. They're like, that's okay. That's still meeting us where we are at. It's still affordable, and it's going to keep you going.
So just to put that into picture, all the items that we sell are priced between $1 and $4. So nothing is over $4. And our most expensive item would be $4 for like a large bag of grapes, which at your Kroger or Hy-Vee would probably be significantly more than that.
$8 to $9.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I just bought some yesterday.
I know.
Yeah. So we really try to. When we say affordable, we mean not what's affordable in our terms, but what is affordable for the families that we are serving. So even with price increases, we're capped at $4 an item.
Yeah,
because you care about the community.
We do, and because that's what they told us is affordable to them. And we want to keep our word because that's the price cap for them. Anything more, it's going to be very hard for them to stretch their money. And then we do other things too. We have little punch card. So we think of different ways to help our families stretch their dollar. So we have a little punch card. If they come 6 times, they get $5 off. For a lot of families, that's a lot. $5, 5 different produce in our market. You can 5 different items.
Fruit salad.
Yeah, you can buy. You have to come to the market, and you see people going out with bags, and they spend $15.
So where's the market?
So we have one at Treewind Park, which is with the Park District, and that's in the south end of Peoria, and that's every Sunday from 11:30 to 1. And then we have one tomorrow on Thursday night in downtown Peoria at the Peoria Women's Club.
Is that every Thursday?
Every Thursday from 6 to 7.
Yeah, because this episode will come out on a Wednesday. So yeah, the next day. Get your fruits.
Yeah, they should come get their fruits. And if you pay with and we accept link card. So if they pay with their link, which is great, because that was the reason we started too. We wanted to help families that really, with link that wants to stretch their dollars. So if you pay with your link card, we also have a program called the Link Match where every dollar will match you up. So if they spend $10, we give them $10 in cash vouchers that they can turn around and buy veggies or keep it to when they need it.
Huh.
These are all
That's amazing.
These are all the little things we're trying every which way we can to help our families be able to buy more, eat more, consume more, because we are concerned. This health issue coming up from these neighborhoods are no joke. They are continuing to rise. And it's all stemmed from just accessibility and affordability.
No, I think your success is going to heavily rely on the humanity aspect that you're instilling into the community. Honestly. Because it feels like, from everything you're saying and pictures I've seen on Facebook, it just seems like you're providing humanity in a moment where everybody's looked at as a number or a business proposition or what can I get from you? Where it's like, take.
Yeah.
It's easy accessible. Here.
Yes, these are people, we've built relationships with. These are people with names and faces, not your number, 129 in the system. You're a real person. And so that makes a huge difference on how I think people think about people when, it's a name and a face and someone that you've developed a relationship with, as opposed to this is just someone who's coming up as a just another person.
And there's so much empowerment and dignity. We don't queue them. They don't queue up. We have chairs all around the market. So when they come, the market now has become like a community meeting space. Families are meeting each other and saying, I'll see you next Sunday. And they're getting to know their neighbors. I'm like, I didn't know you live a block from me. And so they're getting to know. It's become a community center. Just by purely coming every Sunday, families are getting to know each other again. When they were so, in their own homes and doing it. But the market has brought them all together. And we love that. So we were very adamant. No queuing, no checking of requirements. You don't need to show proof of anything. If you need the food and you live in this district, we're going to take your word. That's what you are, and you're going to need it. You're welcome to it. And it's a big community gathering every Sunday or every Thursday night.
With that, I'm going to transition to my last two questions.
Yes.
One's business and one's personal, all right? So business, for anybody like to get involved, participate, even pop up at the events, how can they find more information to do any of that?
I would follow us on Facebook or Instagram. You can search Peoria Grown. You can visit our website, peoriagrown.com. And there, if you want to get more involved, is our email address and ways you can get directly connected with us through volunteering, if you are able to make a financial gift, or just getting involved in our programs, or wanting to stop by to see what we're about.
All right. Then I'm going to ask this question first to Candace, then to Abby, then to Julie. I ask this everybody that steps into the hot seat, sits down, has this dialogue with me. When your story is said and done, how would you like somebody to remember you and the part you played? Specifically with Peoria Grown. How would you like to be remembered with your participation in it? And what would you like people to get from it?
I would like people to get the sincerity and the genuine piece of it, that it is about, as you said, humility within the community. It's all about the people that we serve and knowing those people and building those friendships with them, that trust, and having that be a reflection of Peoria Grown as an organization, and not really making it about who I am or but who they are, and letting them have their voice. Yes.
Abby, what you got for me?
Oh, this is a really loaded question. Wow, I wish I
would have. They call me the Mexican Oprah for a reason.
I wish I would have had a second to think about this. I don't so much think about this as like Abby. I don't think there's anything specifically that I care if people would remember about me. I hope that it is the impact as an organization that we are making. It's that the people that we serve feel seen, they feel heard, they feel taken care of, they feel like they are a part of it, they feel like their life is better because of the work that we did. It's not actually about who is doing the work, it's the work that is done. That's my hope.
I'm going to switch it up for you. I'm going to change it up. I'm going to keep you on your toes. Julie, from the moment the potential of having to have your own project was put on your plate, to now having full-time members, to having a community that is growing with you, that actively wants to see you, to have the community corner, as you kind of coined it. How's that make you feel, seeing this grow, with the pun intended?
Ross, I didn't expect it to grow. I did not have any vision or grandiose idea where it was going to be anywhere in this scale. I started it because I wanted to make something better. I wanted to see our community get healthy. It's not, for me, was like Abby said, I want the work to speak for itself. I want the families to remember the services, the resources that Peoria Grown brought, not who I am. I'm not trying to leave a legacy behind. That was not any part of the vision, but it's just that we saw a need, and we are grateful that we could be of service and that we could be of help to a community. And that's what I'm hoping that we can continue to do, that we continue to be, like Abby said, continue to see and hear our community and put them first and foremost in everything we do, and that we can continue to serve them to the best of our abilities.
All right. That's been another episode of the KZ Community Beats. I'm your host, Ross Martinez. We appreciate you guys. Peoria Grown here. Abby Green, Julie.
Elia Tomby.
I got to practice that next time I have you out. And Candace Martell, thank you guys so much for coming by. We got a lot more episodes for you to go check out. A lot more different perspectives of amazing people pouring back into our community. And if you don't, I have Santa Claus's personal number. Let him know that you are not supportive. I'm just playing. Love you. Bye.